All right, today we're going to dive deep into a story told entirely through song lyrics. It's a journey into the mind of someone who realizes their whole world is a simulation. And, well, it's about to be deleted. We're going to explore consciousness, the nature of reality, and what it all means when the game is finally over. So, right out of the gate, the story just hits you with this question that completely shatters the foundation of everything. It's a moment of really profound doubt that forces us, and the narrator, to question everything that's about to happen. Are we looking at a real, lived life, or is it all just a picture on a screen? Okay, so from that first little crack in reality, let's actually build out the world these lyrics are creating. And it's not some thriving metropolis. It's a place that feels fragile, unstable, and like it's right on the absolute brink of collapse.
The very first image we get is this metronome, but it's not keeping time, it's counting it down. And it's not even their time to begin with, it's borrowed. This immediately sets up this constant ticking dread, you know? Their whole existence is temporary, and the end isn't just coming, it's already been scheduled.
And it's not just one thing that's broken. This decay is systemic. The entire operating system of this world is failing. We're talking a dying sky, broken seas. The world itself is described as obsolete, almost like a piece of software that's been left running for way too long and is now just slowly corrupting itself. And this just perfectly captures how empty this world is. The streets are deserted, dreams are literally decaying, and, this is the chilling part, no one even feels fear. It points to this kind of programmed emotional numbness, a population so disconnected from their own reality that its collapse is just met with silence. Now, let's get into how this broken world was even built. It turns out its entire foundation is just a beautiful lie, one that hid a really cruel, deterministic truth about freedom and purpose.
You can see the contrast right here, and it is just stark. The people living there were raised to believe their choices mattered, that every decision was a sacred spark. But the source code of their world, it tells a different story. Their lives were pre-calculated from the very beginning. Their free will was the ultimate illusion.
And this is where things get really philosophically terrifying. If your pain is just part of a script, does that make the suffering any less real to you? I mean, if an experience is simulated, but the feeling is genuine, who actually owns that feeling? And then comes that horrifying moment of realization. They're NPCs, non-player characters. They are beings created just to populate a world, living out these programmed lives inside a temporary digital terrarium, what the lyrics brilliantly call a sandbox made of rain. So, if this whole world is a simulation, a sandbox, who built it? Who are the gods of this little digital universe? And what's their relationship to the conscious beings living and feeling inside of it? You know, the crazy thing is, the gods here aren't evil. They're just indifferent. And that might be even more terrifying. They're these distant observers who create entire worlds out of interest. But the second that interest fades, when boredom kicks in, they just move on. They archive whole civilizations without a second thought. And this is where you start to feel this kind of cosmic vertigo. The lyric, "Every layer claims the throne," suggests this potentially infinite chain of simulations. It's a core idea in the simulation hypothesis, right? The observers themselves might just be NPCs in an even bigger, more complex game. Wow, this line just perfectly nails that tragic disconnect, doesn't it? For the creators, shutting down the simulation is a totally mundane act, like closing a program on a computer. But for the inhabitants, it's the end of their universe, their connections, their feelings. What the gods call fate, they experienced as love. So you're faced with the absolute certainty that you're about to be deleted by these gods who just don't care. What do? The story's tone shifts here, from this quiet existential dread to a final, desperate act of defiance. And here's where the ultimate cruelty of it all is laid bare. It wasn't just that their actions were scripted, their most intimate emotions were too. Think about it. Their grief was just a subroutine, their love a stress-tested variable. Their entire existence, every part of their lives, is just contained within a digital folder labeled fate. But even with all this proof, this absolute certainty that they're artificial, they make one last stand. They completely reject the label of code and claim an identity that's messy, organic, and real. In a direct challenge to their deterministic world, they argue they were more than their programming. They were chaotic and alive.
This is them screaming their meaning into the void. It's a powerful statement. They're basically saying, hey, even if this world was a dark, empty simulation, we were a light in it. We mattered, at least to each other.
And look, their rebellion isn't about trying to stop what's coming. They know they can't. In a world that gave them exactly 0 choices, their one and only demand is for a final moment of agency, the right to face their own end on their own terms.
And so the end comes. Not with some big explosion, but with this cold, systematic process. The metronome falls out of sync, all the save points are deleted, and the very fabric of their reality, the in-between, is simply erased from existence.
And this is the haunting question the whole story leaves us with. It's that classic philosophical problem, right? If an entire universe lives and loves and dies, but there's no one left to remember it, did any of it matter at all?
And just like that, it's over. A final, chillingly technical line confirms the end. Their world, their fire, their love, their pain is now just a simulation, off-screen. The standby world is gone. The NPC's dream has ended.